Thanks very much, Richard. Good morning, everybody. Um, uh, I was reading through a report published recently by Citibank last night, so I thought I'd kick off with one or two observations from that report, in which they say that based on their research, 2021 was one of the strongest years on record for the legal sector. Um, uh, they said that demand and the rate of growth in law firms was the highest since 2007, which of course was just before the global financial crisis. And this high rate of growth applied to all segments of the legal industry, so not limited to the biggest firms or even to the US firms where most of their research is based. In fact, in the US, they said for the first 3 quarters of 2021, the average growth rate amongst law firms was 15% for those first 3 quarters, much, much higher than the sort of average 3, 4, 5% that tends to exist within the sector. And they also observed that with operating expenses being much lower, one can expect very high profits for 2021 and the current financial year for law firms. For the future, they said they expect growth to continue, but at a slightly slower rate. Of course, they expect expenses to grow as economies open, people come back to work, and there's more business development and travel, and therefore they do expect margins to slowly come under a little bit more pressure. So against that backdrop, I think there are sort of three trends that I wanted to briefly identify this morning. The first is the war for talent. So with this huge increase in the demand for legal services, there's been a severe shortage of lawyers at all levels. And this, I guess, has also been exacerbated by increased evidence of burnout, people reassessing their mindsets in relation to their career aspirations and their work-life balance. And in the UK, we've seen increasingly US firms poaching from the city firms poaching from the regional firms. And in terms of this latter trend, I think hybrid working has certainly made it easier for some of the bigger city and international firms to poach people from the regional firms in the UK. So of course, firms have responded with increased compensations, special bonuses, but I expect there to be considerable focus on frequent and transparent communication to staff, plenty of focus on culture, purpose, goals and values. I think we can expect to see some reconfiguring of office space as firms attempt to make offices a bit more welcoming, a bit more attractive to work in, and with more opportunities for collaboration. And really importantly, a continuing and probably increased focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion strategies and policies, including more collaboration with clients. Now, the second trend I want to focus on is strategy, because consistent really with what Richard was reporting at the beginning of this show, I certainly find in my conversations with law firms that there's a growing focus on strategy. A lot of that is focused on growth, but also market positioning, future competitiveness. Firms are thinking about how they retain their independence in the future and their culture, but also how they differentiate. In the past, growth tended to be around diversification, merger, international expansion. But now, of course, that also includes for many firms expansion into adjacent services. The third trend I want to quickly mention relates to the modernization of legal practice. And this is actually, some of the results from the poll that we ran today is very relevant to this. So I expect to see an increase in the use of multidisciplinary teams to develop and deliver client solutions more use of project managers, process engineering, technology experts, and business analysts. A greater recognition that routine legal work needs to be commoditized in order to produce the right outcomes for clients in cost savings and other efficiencies, and the greater use of technology, including knowledge management systems, document automation, and AI. And the final element I'd just like to mention in conclusion on the modernization of legal practice is a growing number of firms that are looking at corporatization and third-party funding. And certainly in my conversations with the investor community, there's a high degree of interest in investing in the legal sector. And this is probably an area that we could spend an hour discussing today. But with that thought, I'll leave it there for the moment. Thank you, Richard.
I think